let's start with the Charlotte Hornets, who had quite a revelatory season, especially with the breakout of LaMelo Ball. They're in pretty good shape roster-wise, but they do have some big decisions to make. The two biggest ones, I'd say right away, Devonte, Graham, Malik, Monk are both restricted free agents this summer. So more, should they be trying to re-sign those guys, and what's a fair price point, or what's the price point where you walk away?
Oh, it's a super interesting question, because now that they have LaMelo, you can definitely make the argument that they don't really need to go out and spend a whole lot of money on Graham or Monk, because they have a guy now at that guard spot who can really propel them forward. So I'm looking at the situation going, what do they really need? Do they, first and foremost, do they trust that this year for Malik Monk is permanent? Like, do they believe that this leap is legit? This was a 42-game sample. He played less than 21 minutes per game, but he did look good as a shooter. I think the big question here is, can he be a self-creator? Can he be more than just a scorer? And quite frankly, I'm not sure. I think they have a walkaway price. What that price is for Malik Monk, I really don't know. But I would be a little bit surprised if he came back.
Yeah, I would too. And Graham, I think you raise a fair point as well. You know, you've got LaMelo and Terry Rozier in the starting lineup, Gordon Hayward at the 3. So, you know, really at best, he's probably plugging in as your backup point guard off the bench, and you're probably not spending $20 million on that spot, especially for a guy whose career high over 3 seasons is shooting 38.2% from the field.
Right.
So what do you do with Graham? Like, are you willing to go up to, 4 years, $50 million for him, let's say?
So that's 4 years, 60 total.
It'd be like 12 and a half per year.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said 15.
No, 50. So 12 and a half.
50. I thought you said 15 and then annually. Oh, okay. My bad. I was like, that's a lot of money. Okay. No, 50 million over 4 years. That's a different math. I would feel way more comfortable with that than I would a $60 million contract. That said, though, it's one of those situations, because the Knicks are in the market for a point guard, allegedly. That could be LaMelo Ball, but if it's not Ball, Devonte Graham could be one of those guys. He's been linked to the Knicks in those rumors, in particular because he can't shoot the 3-ball. I mean, I know you already mentioned his shooting percentage from the field overall, but as a 3-point shooter, he's pretty good, because he's a high volume, somewhat high efficiency player. He can knock down free throws. He's a good passer. So if he comes into that Knicks system and is just basically catching and shooting from the point guard position, which you could argue they already have in Emmanuel Quickley, but okay, let's put that aside. That would probably be a worth 12 and a half, if not more, per year, simply because the floor spacing that he provides. I don't know what my walkaway price is, though. Like, he's still not super old. I think he's 26, 25, 26, along those lines.
He turned 26 in February.
Yeah. Okay. So the potential might not be there. He's probably more of a finished product by now. But you know what you're getting. You know you're getting a guy who can come in and give you a highest discount, like function as the primary play initiator if that's what you want him to do. You know he can hit threes. You know he can rely on him on the 3-throw line. So what is that worth? Well, then you also have to factor in his defense, which is not great. The fact that he's a very slight 6'1", and then you have to figure out, is that something we live with ultimately? So, I think I would probably, if I'm the Hornets, I would just not play that game. If the Knicks came in with an offer of like 14 million per year or 13 million or something like that, I probably wouldn't do it unless I knew that I had a resale market for Graham if I then matched that contract and then was able to flip it later on. So maybe Nene him could be the best option. That potentially.
Yeah. I mean, it's tricky because it's a matter of asset allocation and resource allocation. And as you said, do you want to be spending that much money?
Right.
Not knowing that he's going to be in your starting lineup moving forward. Now, Terry Rozier is entering the last year of his contract, so maybe you think you're at risk of losing Rozier and you want that insurance in case he does leave. So there's a lot to juggle for the Hornets here. But yeah, the Knicks, I think, are a team to watch. We'll see. I mean, I know the Bulls are in the market for a point guard as well. If they don't get Lonzo, maybe Devonte could be of interest. Or maybe if Lonzo leaves, the Pelicans might need a point guard, and maybe Devonte's of interest to them too. So both of these guys should not struggle to find offers on the market. I just don't know whether either of their futures are in Charlotte. But the Hornets, will have the opportunity to match any offer sheet either one signed. So that is the good thing. They don't, they can present these guys with an offer at the start of free agency, but if those guys don't find it suitable, they can say, okay, find something else, and we'll get, a couple days to decide whether or not we want to match it.
Yeah. And just to put any fears to rest here, or any doubts to rest, Terry Rozier should be prioritized over Graham, over Monk. He clearly has shown that he is a mainstay on that roster, even alongside LaMelo, honestly. I mean, I don't care. Then you flip him around in terms of point guard, shooting guard. Like, that's not a concern to me. He's just so productive that I think you got to run with him moving forward. So those are the guys they prioritize. And if the Graham and Monk are kind of lost in the whole shuffle of things, I don't think it hurts them that much.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The other big question for them, contract-wise, is Miles Bridges. He's heading into the final year of his rookie deal, so he will be eligible for an extension. Yeah. If you're the Hornets, would you extend him, and how much would you give him?
Yeah, I would. I mean, he is legitimately good, and I think he is one of the most undervalued players in the league. It's not just the dunking, it's the improved shooting, it's the improved defense, it's the improved virtually everything. He's not going to be, I think, ever one of those high-level scorers. So I think offensively there is a ceiling to his game, which you can kind of concern me if I'm like giving him $17-18 million a year, which I think in an open market he would get very, very easily. So I would feel comfortable with $15 million a year. I would feel less comfortable if we're up at 18, and I would feel very uncomfortable if it's way above 20.
Yeah. No, I think that's the right kind of area to be focused on. I will say, I mean, he fits so well with LaMelo Ball. Mm-hmm. And I think for the Hornets, all of these decisions ultimately need to come down to that. How we construct a roster around Ball's talents, which guys fit well with him. Because Gordon Hayward, I know they just signed him to a 4-year deal, but he's already on the wrong side of 30. So he's not going to be there for, ideally you have LaMelo Ball at least for the next 7 to 8 years. Yep. So you need to be thinking with that timeline in mind. Now, Miles Bridges just finished his 3rd NBA season. He's only 23 years old. So he's got, he's much more on the developmental timeline of LaMelo Ball. Right. But, do you want to commit that much money to him and, lock up that much money that you could also be using to improve your roster elsewhere?
Yes. Actually, yes. So here's my reasoning. I would actually maybe even pay him a little bit more above market value to retain him for one reason. If they lose out on Graham and Monk in free agency, right? Yeah. Those shots will be absorbed by somebody. Yeah, that could be Miles Bridges. And if Miles takes his scoring average from like the 13 that he's been on this year and last, and he goes to like 16, 17, that's a shift in the market right there. So if you can get him in right now, lock him in and go, yeah, we have you for the next 4 years. Why not?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think the other big question for them is what to do at center. PJ Washington was their nominal starting center for a good portion of the year. Cody Zeller is a free agent. Bismack Biyombo is a free agent. I don't think either of those guys are the future at the position for Charlotte. So who would you target on the free agent market? Like, would you go after Andre Drummond, for instance? Or do you have anyone else in mind?
Yeah, I do. Daniel Tice.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
Both Keith Smith and I are on the same page with this one. He just makes so much sense on the Hornets. He's low usage, but he is effective. He plays defense. He passes the ball. He rebounds. He's tough-nosed. He gives you everything. And he probably comes at a price tag of around, I want to say between 9 and 11 million, maybe even a little bit more. If it's a little bit more, I don't mind. Like, he's just so rock solid that I think that would be a tremendous signing for them. I think he would fit that team like a glove.
Yeah, I like that. I was going to say Nerlens, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Or Rashawn Holmes could be another option.
Rashawn is not a bad name either. That would be really interesting, actually.
Yeah. I mean, they could, go the restricted free agent route and go after a guy like Jarrett Allen, but if you could get Nerlens on the cheap, I mean, he's played for $5 million this year with the Knicks.
Yeah.
He might just want to stay with the Knicks. Like, this might just be, he's kind of got revitalized under Tibbs, so maybe he's not available. But yeah, those would probably be. I agree, Drummond. I would not throw a ton of money at Andre Drummond. I'd much rather go after Rashawn, Nerlens. Tice is a great name. I don't even know. I mean, I guess we'd see if like the market totally dried up and they haven't found an answer. That's when you can get frisky and throw an offer sheet at Jarrett Allen. But I probably would not prioritize him over Rashawn or these other guys.
Right, and look, Cleveland might match that offer anyway. So
yeah, or they might just sign him to an extension, right when free agency starts and take him off the market.
That could very well be.